Copycat Pete is the second segment of the 18th episode of the third season of Mickey Mouse Funhouse, and as always there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode chronologically and share some thoughts. And this one is a decent episode. We have some good messages about being true to your own identity and not copying people and knowing that you have your own value. You don't need to do things exactly the same as other people do. Mickey and the gang are going to Sunny Gulch for the Square Dancing Festival. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Sunny Gulch is so boring. I really don't care for it as a location. I find it to be very dull, very repetitive. Everything is just usually about a musical performance and it's very, very bland. But the setting does work for the messages. Mayor Clarabelle said that Mickey could call out the dance moves for the square dancing as he's the most fun, and Pete happens to overhear this. And initially I thought we were going completely down the route of jealousy and Pete acting out and maybe being mean to Mickey, but that's not actually what happened, because instead Pete starts to copy Mickey. Now I know they say imitation is the greatest form of flattery, but when somebody copies you as much as Pete does, it's going to be annoying. He starts to dress like Mickey, which is good fun. The animation of seeing Pete wearing the same clothing as Mickey is fun. It is entertaining. And what's quite interesting is that we, the viewer, know very early on that Clarabelle also had a special job for Pete. She wanted Pete to play fiddle, but he's too busy copying Mickey Mouse to find Clarabelle, or I guess for Clarabelle to find him, to receive this information about this special job. And instead he carries on copying Mickey, and Mickey and the others realise that something's up with Pete, but they don't necessarily say anything. And then we get to the square dancing. And there are very few characters there. It's basically just Mickey and the gang. It's not really a very lively square dance when there are just a small handful of people. And they could have maybe made a bit of an effort to include a few more characters there. And Mickey starts calling out the moves, and Pete is copying him. And then even when Mickey starts saying things like, "Stop copying me," Pete would echo, "Stop copying me." I don't know if that's a direct quote, but Mickey is saying things other than just the dance moves, and Pete is just copying all of it. And I don't think Pete was doing that intentionally. I don't think it was one of those cases where somebody says, "Stop copying me," and the person mimics them, "Stop copying me." I don't think it was quite like that. I think Pete was just so caught up in the moment. He really enjoyed becoming Mickey Mouse, or Mickey the Mouse if you like, that he just was not really listening to the words and was just repeating the sounds that he was hearing. And I don't think he was intending to be nasty or mimicking Mickey in any negative way. I think he just felt good that he was behaving like Mickey and people like Mickey, so in that moment he believed people would like him. And of course that's not what happened. It gets chaotic, and especially when we get to the spin your partner round and round bit, because he's copying Mickey rather, so they're getting double the instructions to spin around, and they just keep going round and round and round, and the animation for that was pretty good. And eventually they obviously tell Pete to stop this, and they say some nice supportive things to him and help him to realise that it's best to just be your true self. And he finds out that Clarabelle was going to ask him to play fiddle, so even though he may not have the job that Mickey does, he has his own special job, and he's good at his own things. And that's always a really strong message, that if you are feeling jealous of somebody, the solution is to not to try to be like them. It's to be yourself. And of course, that's always a great message, obviously for the target audience, particularly when you're a child, you haven't really got your own identity, you're still working out who you are. Even into adulthood, that's the case. So I think the message could be pretty ideal for anybody of any age. Sure, I don't care for Sunny Gulch. I think the location is tremendously boring, but some of the animation here was actually pretty engaging. When we were in the dance hall, that's mainly when I found it to be entertaining. Up until then, it was fine, and Pete copying Mickey with the calls was definitely an entertaining moment. So some good messages, a decent story, and some nice animation. Needless to say, Copycat Pete is a pretty decent Mickey Mouse Funhouse segment.